Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 545. My name is Kyle.
And my name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And my name is Kyle. And we're here to talk about movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. James, I think you threw the whole thing off by saying, and my name is James.
Oh, sorry for throwing one extra word in there.
Yeah, but there should be the implied comma. So that, because people Zach's here also this week.
You trying to cut me off?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't know that approximately half a second later when he introduces himself.
I think they hear, and my name is James, and there's this moment of, oh, Zach's not there.
Yes.
Or sure. Excitement. Oh, Zach's not there. Either way, it's an emotional roller coaster when you throw that in for people, because then the reveal happens that Zach is here.
Either way, it forces me to participate in a run-on sentence, and I don't know if I appreciate that.
Like, Zach is supposed to be the Oxford comma of our group here, and James is just
sorry,
not the linguist of the group, apparently.
I mean, I consider this podcast just one big emotional roller coaster, so I'm all for it.
You're just spiraling towards your descent?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. If there's one person out of the three of us who is an agent of chaos for the podcast, who is it?
It's James.
It's me?
Yeah.
I'm also the structure guy. How can I be both?
I mean, by saying, and my name is James right there, I think you just proved it.
Wait, James, you're the structure guy?
I mean, I'm the person who maintains the notes and moves from one segment to the other, typically. You know what I mean? If I'm on the podcast, that's, self-appointed. I'm the person that does that, right?
Yeah, you are.
True, we never elected you, did we?
No.
No, I've never referred to you as the structure guy. If you would prefer that, I could start doing that. I didn't know that's something you wanted.
I'm not saying I want it. I'm just saying I can't be the agent of chaos.
You can't be?
It's got to be one of you two.
I think you can be both. I think you can be both the one who's in charge of the clipboard and the one who wants to break the clipboard in half.
Okay. All right. If you say so. I'm not very rebellious, though. I mean, you guys are way more rebellious than I am.
We are more rebellious than you are?
Yeah. I feel like that's true.
That's because we're young.
Rebellion is wasted on the youth. That's for sure. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Episode 545. Back to a familiar format with all three of us here. We're going to continue our ongoing series on forgotten films this week, focusing on the top 10 forgotten films of 2007. Before we jump into that, we need to remind you guys of a few things. One, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Cinereelists, REEL with an S on the end. Find us there and watch while you listen. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. Support the podcast and get extra after show audio. You can leave us an Apple Podcast review. We'd appreciate that. 5 stars only. Or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. Send a comment, a question, a list suggestion, a movie suggestion. Send us anything you want, really, to heyguys@cinereelists.com. Anything else we need to mention before we jump into the year that was 2007?
That all sounded pretty structured to me.
Very structured. Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
I expect no less from the structure guy.
All right. Perfect. So we're going to talk a lot of movies here. Some you may have heard of. Most, I would bet, you either haven't heard of or haven't thought about in quite a long time. These lists are always fun to do because of those reasons, for sure. But before we jump into our lists for this week, we need to set the stage a little bit. We need to get our mind into the year 2007. We need to remind ourselves what was happening. what were the cool kids doing in 2007? I don't know if any of that we're going to talk about, but these are things that were happening in 2007. In 2007, in January of 2007, Apple co-founder Steve Jobs revealed the very first iPhone.
Oh, wow. That's big news.
That was 15 years ago.
Wow, yeah.
Wow.
Do you guys remember the first time you ever saw in the wild an iPhone?
I do.
Yes.
Boring stories that you don't want to tell, or?
Yeah, it was at a Badger football game tailgate, and someone had an iPhone.
Sure.
There it was. Like, it was cool, but
did you talk to them, or was it just like, oh, that guy's got an iPhone, and that was the beginning and the middle and the end of it?
Yeah, I mean, like, they came over, they said, oh, this is my iPhone. They showed it. It had the screenshot was like the one of the background was like of the Earth. That's like the one background you could get with it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was small. It was cool.
All right.
Yeah, I worked at a school and a student had one, and I stopped them.
A student?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a private school.
Okay. That makes sense. I worked at the car dealership. That was before it turned into a marketing company that Zach and I worked at. The car dealership didn't turn into a marketing company, but my job moved to the marketing company. And there was a sales guy named Chris Schoenbaum who had one. I only remember his name because it's the first time I ever saw an iPhone. And he was showing it off, and I was like, here, let me see that. And I looked at it, and I tried to pull up a website on it, and it barely pulled it up. And I remember thinking, my Treo can do this. Who cares?
Treo.
So you've been an iPhone hater since day one.
No.
I'm sorry we don't still have Treos.
I'm not. They weren't that great. For sure. Okay. Later that year, the Amazon Kindle was released. Not quite as influential, I would say.
But that is you can take books anywhere.
Sure. Do you remember when the Kindle came out and everybody was like, Amazon is trying to kill the book industry?
Well, that's because Amazon was still selling books back then. Like, that was their thing.
And they were like putting mom and pops out of business.
Yeah.
By selling books. And then they released the Kindle, and people were like losing their minds because they're like, they're not even going to sell physical books anymore. They're going to replace all the physical books.
And now they sell everything.
Yep. Also in 2007, the website Tumblr went live.
Was Tumblr still around?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've never been a Tumblr person. That's the website with images, right? That's the point of it?
You can post just about anything there.
Okay.
I think it's pretty well known, though, for like collections of GIFs, though. Stuff like that.
Is it like, do you follow people? Is it like a kind of social media? Or is it just
images? You can follow people.
Okay.
But it's also like a blog page.
Yeah, I always thought of it as like micro blogs, basically.
All right.
Yep. In 2007, the U.S. housing bubble burst, and the late 2000s recession began.
That's probably the biggest thing I think of with 2007. I didn't remember that coincided with the iPhone coming out. Yep. So like the first couple of years of the iPhone out, and no one can afford it.
Yeah, and you had to like sign a new contract with AT&T to even get it for the first couple of years.
Yeah,
wasn't on all carriers.
Was Lehman Brothers 2007?
If not 2007, 2008. It was in that same.
It was around that. Maybe it was 2008. Yeah.
Time period. Yeah. In 2007, the cost of gas hit a then high record. At its height, how much was the cost of a gallon of gas in 2007? Closest to the pin.
$2.59.
I was gonna say $2.75.
$2.59 to $2.75. The answer is $3.38.
Oh,
pretty close to what it is here in Orlando right now.
Yeah,
but that was 15 years ago. In 2007, Time Magazine's Person of the Year was Vladimir Putin.
Really?
That hasn't aged a whole lot of well.
Well, I
would
mean,
say.
what was their reasoning for making him Person of the Year?
Because I think he was like democratically elected, or like, you know, that version of the Russian version of democratically elected. And if you remember, when he first ran, he claimed that he was only going to serve whatever the appropriate term was, and then he was going to pass off the government to the next person. And then he decided to never do that. So in 2007, Britney Spears shaved off her hair and hit an SUV with an umbrella. Remember that?
Do we look at that incident a lot differently now than we did back in 2007?
For sure. Lindsay Lohan went to her third rehab in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And Paris Hilton went to jail for a DUI. How many days did Paris Hilton spend in jail?
I remember this. Was it 3?
3 days?
Yeah.
I'm going for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So 14 days?
Yeah.
The answer? 23 days.
Wow, 23.
She spent 23 days in jail. In 2007, the Keyboard Cat video was uploaded to YouTube in 2007.
Okay.
But it wasn't recorded in 2007. What year was the Keyboard Cat video recorded?
2006.
I'm going to say
Zach says 2006.
1997.
1984.
Keyboard Cat is that old.
Keyboard Cat is that old. Yep.
Wow.
I guess it sat on a VHS tape probably until somebody digitized it and uploaded it to YouTube.
What a saint.
For sure. Also in Cats on the Internet in 2007, I Can Has Cheeseburger became a meme. Remember that?
Yeah, I never liked that.
It was everywhere.
It really was. It like defined people's sense of humor for a while.
Yep. I remember my nephew had a I Can Has Cheeseburger t-shirt. He was like 9. Which makes sense.
That makes sense.
In 2007, J.K. Rowling released Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the 7th and final installment of the Harry Potter series. How many copies of Deathly Hallows were sold on the first day of release?
I don't even know where. Zach, you make a guess, and I'll go off yours.
I think Zach guessed last time first, so I think this is a Kyle guess first.
I don't know what books sell. We're probably talking millions. Let's say 10 million. That's probably way low.
Kyle says 10 million. First day.
Yeah, it's less than that.
Okay.
Zach?
Less.
No, you got to give me a number. 9.99 million. Is that what you're saying?
9,999,999 books.
The answer is less, but not by a lot. 8.3 million.
Oh, okay.
In one day.
2 off.
8.3 million. In 2007, the Moonanite scare occurred in Boston. Anybody know what that is?
The Moonanite?
No. I don't know about the Moonanite scare.
No.
It happened in Boston, like I mentioned.
I remember this.
Okay.
Is this a bunch of like light brights that were set up on telephone poles that people thought were bombs?
You have the gist,
okay,
for sure. It's these devices that were used in a guerrilla marketing campaign for the animated television series Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yep.
That were mistaken for improvised explosive devices. And like the whole city went down on lockdown, and they like had to locate them all and pull them off the telephone poles.
Yep.
Big news story. In 1997, Microsoft released Windows Vista.
Okay.
Yeah. How many copies of Windows Vista were eventually sold?
Zach?
Windows Vista?
Uh-huh.
300 million.
300 million. Kyle?
301 million.
No. 88 million.
Okay.
Zach gets the point. If we were tracking points. Senator Barack Obama declared his candidacy for president of the United States in 2007. In 2007, The Sopranos aired its final episode. Anybody watch that live other than me?
No.
No.
I've never seen an episode of Sopranos.
You haven't?
That's
No.
true.
Don't you watch TV?
Doesn't appeal to me.
All right. Also ending in 2007, Pimp My Ride. You watched the last episode of that, Zach?
Yeah, I've watched many episodes of that.
Stargate SG-1 ended.
No, but I do like MacGyver.
And The Crocodile Hunter ended that year.
The guy or the show?
The show.
Okay.
The guy ended a few years before that, but they milked it for a couple more years. After 35 years, The Price is Right aired its final episode in 2008, hosted by Bob Barker.
Not his final episode.
How many episodes of The Price is Right did Bob Barker host? Kyle.
Quick math, I'm going to say he hosted 600.
600.
Yeah.
Zach?
No, 5,000.
Not 5,000, a little more. 6,727.
I did my math wrong.
Price is Right is every day of the week.
I know. I realized that.
Kyle thought he was on for 2 years.
I left the zero off. I should have said 6,000. My bad.
Debuting in 2007, the TV shows Tim and Eric. Awesome show. Great job. Human Giant, which had a couple people that went on to do good things. Flight of the Conchords, which I know Zach is a fan of. I don't know where Kyle sits on that.
Never seen an episode.
All right. Burn Notice. Mad Men debuted in 2007. iCarly. TMZ, the TV show, which is still on the air, 2007. And The Big Bang Theory, which ran for way too many seasons. In 2007, the Writers Guild of America went on strike. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How many days were they on strike?
The who?
Zach, how many days were they on strike?
They were on strike for 51 days.
51 days. Kyle?
I believe it was at least 52 days.
Kyle says 52. The answer? 100 days exactly.
Okay.
Leave it to a writer to make it 100 days exactly. In 2007, Hulu subscription video launched.
Hulu is like the one service that I have never mustered a single care for. I just can't care about Hulu.
Sure. Well, that's fair.
Do you guys care about? Have you ever bought Hulu?
Yeah, we have Hulu.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's some good
Kyle,
stuff.
You
on
don't
Hulu.
buy Hulu.
Yeah, we have the Disney bundle.
Oh, is it Disney bundle?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Hulu, Disney, and then apparently we have an ESPN subscription that I never use, but it's in the bundle.
Hulu has some stuff. If you like broadcast TV,
yeah,
Hulu's
that's
where
a
it's
reason
at.
why. That's a big reason why we have it.
Yeah.
Wait, what do they have? What do you mean broadcast TV?
So they'll have I don't know,
Like Fox shows, ABC shows. Yeah.
Fox shows, ABC shows, and like HBO airing Game of Thrones. They'll have all the back seasons, and they'll have like the episode that just aired, type of thing. So if you're trying to keep up with regular broadcast TV, it's a service that will let you do that.
And I mean, they do original, like Only Murders in the Building is the original we like. Handmaid's Tale was probably their big one.
They have a couple movies too. Run, which I think we reviewed for this podcast.
We did talk about Run, yeah. Oh,
Was on
Prey.
Hulu.
Wasn't Prey on Hulu?
Prey was on
Yeah.
Hulu just a few weeks ago. They got some stuff here and there. In 2007, the best-selling video game in the U.S. was Halo 3. Anybody play Halo?
Yeah.
In college, yeah.
Halo 3?
Probably.
Nope, you
No.
were out of it by then. How many copies of Halo 3 were sold
Total?
total?
I mean, probably less than Windows Vista.
Well, that was 88 million.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go 15 million.
15 million. Zach?
I think it's less than that. I was going to go 8 million.
4.82 million.
Okay.
In 2007, the film Paranormal Activity became the most profitable film of all time. Worldwide, how much did Paranormal Activity make? Zach?
Oh, Paranormal Activity made $160 million.
Zach says 160.
I was thinking more in the 200 range.
Kyle says 200. The answer, $193.4 million for Paranormal Activity. A 19,749% return on investment.
It's pretty good.
That's very good, I would say. In 2007, it was the last year in which no films grossed at least $1 billion at the box office. Until what year?
I assume it would be until
2020.
2020, yeah.
2020. That's the answer. When the COVID-19 pandemic prevented most blockbusters from opening.
Yeah. 2021, did anything hit a B?
Yes.
Like maybe Spider-Man No Way Home?
I think multiples did.
Yeah.
I think every year multiples do in like non-2020 years.
Okay.
2007 at the 79th Academy Awards in 2007, hosted by Ellen DeGeneres.
The pizza thing?
No, Pizza Thing came when she hosted the second time.
Yeah.
I don't like that one. I'm skipping it. Anna Nicole Smith, Ingmar Bergman, Bam Bam Bigelow, Merv Griffin, Norman Mailer, Evel Knievel, and Boris Yeltsin. All what in 2007?
Died.
Died. Yep, they died. Debuting in film in 2007, Michael Fassbender. For what movie?
That's a good question.
Is it?
Did he play a soldier?
300. He was in 300.
300.
So
okay.
yeah, he played a soldier.
Does anybody remember him in 300? I don't.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's the guy with the abs.
Right, the guy with the abs.
Did he play Agamemnon?
I don't remember. Andrew Garfield, I'm not going to ask you this one, was in Lion for Lambs. That was his film debut in 2007. Tom Hiddleston was in a movie called Unrelated. Zoe Kravitz was in a romantic comedy titled No Reservations.
I've seen that.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse and Emma Stone premiered in what movie?
Superbad.
Superbad, yes. And Saoirse Ronan premiered in I Could Never Be Your Woman, which I know nothing about.
I haven't seen that.
According to Billboard, the number one album in 2007 was Daughtry by Daughtry.
Daughtry. Wasn't he an American Idol winner or contestant? Yeah.
I believe he was third.
Okay.
I don't believe he won.
Daughtry's a man?
Daughtry's a guy. Yeah.
It sounded like
and also
like
a
female
band,
name.
I believe.
And a band?
How many copies of Daughtry were sold worldwide? Kyle?
We're still selling CDs.
Mm-hmm. Somewhat. 2007.
Yeah, it probably went platinum. I'm gonna go 2.5 million.
Kyle says 2.5.
No, less than that. 2 million.
Zach says less. It was more. They sold 7 million copies of Daughtry by Daughtry. And our last 2007 reminder, the number one song in America in 2007 was Irreplaceable by what artist?
It's not.
This is a classic.
Natalie Imbruglia?
Can you sing it for me?
No, I don't really know this song. That's why I was shocked that it was number one.
Is it Beyonce?
2007. It is Beyonce.
Okay.
Did you look that up?
No, I just for some reason remembered Beyonce had a song called Irreplaceable.
Sure.
But I can't sing it to you though.
Although my favorite song of 2007 is Umbrella by Rihanna. I think that one's stuck with us a little longer
Oh, much catchier.
than Irreplaceable.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, guys. That was 2007. Now we're going to talk things people have really forgotten about 2007. Specifically, 10 movies each that people have forgotten, or that we assume they have forgotten anyway. There's a criteria for this list that we have to have agreed to stick to. What is that criteria, Kyle?
So we have to have collected 10 movies that people have forgotten about. The biggest criteria is these movies cannot have been on the top 10 highest grossing from 2007. They also can't be movies that maybe didn't break that top 10, but are definitely still talked about.
That's correct. That means it can be any movie released in 2007 except 300, National Treasure 2, The Simpsons movie, I Am Legend, Ratatouille, Transformers, Shrek the Third, Spider-Man 3, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, or the number one film of 2007, Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End.
Yes, the one everyone remembers of the Pirates movies.
Right. That's the second one, I think.
I think it's the third one.
Is it? I don't remember.
All
right.
They kind of blend together after a while.
Definitely. Let's jump into it. Our top 10 forgotten films of 2007. Who wants to go first? How about Zach?
Yes, I'll go first.
All right.
I kind of change how I make this list like every single time we do this.
Mm-hmm.
This time I went on Letterboxd. My movies that I've seen this year, I've seen 76 2007 films. And I rated them by popularity because Letterboxd, you can do that by popularity. And I ranked mine by ones that they get more and more obscure by popularity. So other times I've done it like just where what I feel is more obscure. This one I just went by like Letterboxd saying it's more obscure. And I only picked movies that I could legitimately remember.
Yeah, that's important.
Because there's some that you had no idea what it was.
Yeah, I had two movies listed as watched and rated that I have absolutely no memory of. One is called Class and one is called The Signal. And I can't remember a single frame of either of these films. And I looked up the trailers for them and they did not ring any bells at all, which is, I think, super rare. It makes me think that I haven't seen them and they're just misrated. I don't know. But so they're not on my list.
Isn't The Signal a Lawrence Fishburne movie? You're the wrong person to ask, but
I'm pretty sure I may have made you watch The Signal, Zach.
Do you think this was one of those 5 movies that you had me watch? That's the only thing I could think of. Remember when I had to watch 5 movies that you picked?
Yeah.
One of them was that werewolf movie from France.
Yeah, that movie's good. You remember that movie?
Brotherhood of the Wolf?
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
So this might have been one of those 5. That was my only thought, but none of it looked familiar to me.
The Signal is like, it's directed by 3 directors. It has 3 separate storylines that don't really interlink, but happen during the exact same time period. And it's like a zombie-esque movie.
Sure. Yeah, it seemed like a you movie. I was like, did James log into my account and rate some movies? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I gave this 4 stars on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
I liked The Signal.
I gave it 3.5.
So you kind of liked it too.
Yeah, apparently. Okay, so my number 10 is a movie that I saw in the theater called Waitress. And I think this is a forgotten film in the sense of no one talks about Waitress. It stars Kerry Russell, who was like famous at the time because of her TV show, right? Wasn't she Felicity?
She was.
Yeah. And Nathan Fillion's in it. Andy Griffith is in it. And I saw this film in the theater with my grandma. And I regretted that. I didn't like this movie that much. And I just thought it was just not, I don't know. It was inappropriate to watch with my grandma, I would say. And it's about a woman who I think works out her emotions by baking pies. And that's really mostly what I remember from it. And I think the pies look good in the film. Like they like really emphasize the look of the pies. But I'm not a big pie person, so it didn't have a big effect on me.
All right.
I considered this one from my list, and I left it off because there's currently a Broadway musical based on it.
Okay.
And I think so. It's kind of it's also a talked about movie in my household with my wife being a baker.
Sure.
So it's
So you never quite forgot it.
I've never quite forgotten Waitress. No. All right. I'll go into my list. I do something similar to Zach, where I take 10 movies and then I rank them based on IMDb votes. So going from more seen to less seen. These are all movies that I like in some way, shape, or form. And like Zach, all movies that I made sure I could remember that I'd seen or could remember with a quick Wikipedia or trailer research to get myself there. I also think it's interesting that there is a meme going on right now where people are taking a Linkin Park song and putting it at the end of famous movies and being like 2001, but now it came on 2007 instead.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find that it's an interesting intersection for this episode this week, that this meme is right now a big thing. All right, my number 10, and this has a surprisingly high amount of votes on IMDb for what I think is a forgotten film, with 307,000 IMDb votes, is The Mist. This is based on a Stephen King short story, I believe, starring Thomas Jane and Toby Jones, the two names that I really recognize. And it takes place in Maine, being that's based on Stephen King. And there is a mysterious storm and a cloud of mist surrounds this town in Maine, including Thomas Jane and other people in a grocery store. And then horrible creatures start emerging from this mist and attacking people within the store. And they really don't know what's going on, where the creatures are coming from. Is the world ending? Is this isolated or not? I remember being a tense movie, definitely a thriller. It has a gut punch killer of an ending. I think that's what people talk about the most from this movie if they remember it. And it does have some 2007 level computer graphics where some of the monsters look really good and some of them look not good at all because we're still trying to figure out when to use CG. But it's a movie that, even though it's forgotten, it's a movie I haven't quite forgotten myself. And I think maybe people who have seen this, it's stuck with them.
I like that movie. It's not on my list, but I think you're right. People don't really talk about that movie. I think a lot of people don't like the ending of that movie.
It is a choice of an ending. Like
it's a contentious ending.
Correct. Yeah. Like Frank Darabont directed it. And my understanding is that the ending is different than the short story and that Stephen King prefers the movie ending to his,
Really?
which is one of the cases where Stephen King likes the movie better than his own original work.
Right.
Well, how's it end?
If you've seen the movie, you'd understand why he might like that version better. That makes sense to me. All right, my number 10. I should say the way I make this list is I go to Letterboxd. I look at my 2007 movies. I eliminate the 10 that I can't do, basically. Oh, I sort by like my own rating, and then eliminate the top 10, and then look at what's left and just decide of things that I ranked high, what do I feel is forgotten? Those make my list. In 2007, I've watched, not in 2007, but total, I've watched 117 2007 movies. So there's definitely some forgotten ones in here, including some that I have completely forgotten, like Zach, where I'm just like, can't make the list because I don't think I could even tell you what that movie's about. One I can tell you about is my number 10, The Lookout, which stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jeff Daniels, and Isla Fisher is also in it. Just to put your head in like a space of where Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in his career at the time. This is like 2 years after Brick and 2 years before 500 Days of Summer. So it's like right in the middle there. He plays a guy who gets into a car accident and he loses his ability for short-term memory. Not like to Memento levels, but like he just has a hard time remembering things, essentially. And the two other people that were in the car with him when he got into this car accident when he was a teenager, died. And so he knows something's happened to him. He knows he should feel awful, but he doesn't really remember the event or like, it's just what people are telling him. You know what I mean? Like the accident was his fault. And so he's like, I should feel bad about this, but I don't really remember the people really or the event type of thing. So, meanwhile, somebody in his neighborhood, this other person his age who's kind of a ne'er-do-well, involves him in a bank heist, and he's the lookout of the bank heist, and he's trying to decide whether he actually wants to go through with this bank heist or not. So it's like this weird, like early 20s drama with this guy who has trauma, but also it's a bank heist movie. And it's a little messy, and I think that's why most people don't know this movie. But I think it's a good one. It's got twists and turns, got some unexpectedness, got some young faces. I enjoy it. The Lookout, my number 10.
I think I've seen The Lookout, but I don't have it marked. So,
yeah.
But I do remember that.
Jeff Daniels plays his blind roommate.
Nice.
Which is really weird. To see Jeff Dumb and Dumber Daniels play a serious role as a blind roommate opposite Joseph.
Yeah, like how much age difference is between them?
Right.
My number 9 is Paranoid Park, directed and written by Gus Van Sant. This is a small little movie about a skateboarder who I think is somehow accidentally kills like a security guard. But it's shot in like Gus Van Sant's like kind of very, visually rambly kind of style. And I remember liking it. But I don't remember too much about it, honestly. So yeah, my number 9, Paranoid Park. No one talks about Paranoid Park.
Why have I not seen Paranoid Park, Zach?
James, you absolutely should see this because it's Gus Van Sant, so it's got some artistic merit. And then this is like your childhood, man.
It's got skateboarding in it.
Yeah.
I've seen the 5 movies above and below Paranoid Park in Gus Van Sant's filmography.
Yeah.
How did I miss Paranoid Park?
I don't know, man. I think this is made for you. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right.
And it's less than an hour and a half long.
I'm adding it to the list. I'll watch it soon.
Okay.
James, this is the famous Gus Van Sant donut hole where it's just easy to miss that one in the middle. You can get either side of it, but
is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I even heard about this concept before.
I can't believe it either.
All right, my number 9, with 187,000 votes on IMDb, so a big jump from the previous, is The Man from Earth. This is a pretty small, I would even call it independent film that takes place just in a cabin. A group of university colleagues are getting together, like I say, half a dozen of them, for a impromptu going away party for one of their colleagues. And what starts as just a cabin weekend together, they start probing more and more about who their colleague really is and trying to find out. They may not know as much about him as they thought they did after working with him for like the last 15 years. And things get revealed, which I think could be spoiled. If you read the letterbox description, it kind of tells you what's going on. But I think it's worth to not know what's going on. It's not a thriller by any sense, stretch of the imagination. Like, this is more of a philosophical movie where people are talking about religion and nature and existence and all these other concepts. I remember the acting being a little spotty. There's some great actors, like Tony Todd's in this, and he's really good. And there are also some actors who seem to be hamming it up a little bit. Maybe they thought this was their big break. But I think as a movie about ideas and philosophy, it's an interesting watch.
Nice. My number 9 is a horror movie titled P2, the letter P, the number 2. And this movie's great. It's I think you kind of have to be like a particular type of person though to watch it. Not that it's like really messed up, but it's a little bit of like like it's a woman who gets stalked basically in a garage. So P2 level is like parking level 2 basically. So she gets stalked in a parking garage, and it's really good. I don't know what to say about it because that's basically the gist of it. Is like some dude is chasing her throughout the parking garage, and she's trying to figure out how to get away from him and get away with her life, basically.
Is there a twist?
Yes. I don't remember the specifics.
Okay.
So I'm assuming there is, just because all horror films have twists, evidently. And so I'm assuming there's a twist in this. My number 9.
Yeah. Okay. My number 8 is the movie Next with Nicolas Cage, Jessica Biel, Julianne Moore, and I think that's it. Have you guys seen Next?
I've seen Next, yeah.
Are we talking about the
It's like a
MTV dating
superhero
show?
It's like a superhero movie. No,
Yeah.
not the dating.
Okay.
No, Nicolas Cage can see into the future.
Oh, this
I
movie.
think just like 2 minutes into the future.
Yeah.
I didn't like this movie. This movie was recommended to me by someone who really liked the movie, and so I watched it with them, and so they were very enthusiastic about it. But I just thought it was very Nicolas Cagey. It's just like, man, nothing kills my enthusiasm for a movie more than Nicolas Cage being serious in an action movie. And man, yeah, he's got like a mullet, and he can see 2 minutes in the future, and he does not use that as well as he should. It's quite the ability. And then there's this one long scene at the end where you see him in multiple timelines, like scoping out a whole warehouse by like dividing across the warehouse, and it's just very cheesy. So I don't know. That was my impression of Next, but no one really talks about it except the person that recommended it to me. Also, his love interest in the movie is Jessica Biel, who's
Which
like
is a good thing or a bad thing?
half his age.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And he again has a mullet. It's just gross.
Is this the movie where there's like a wonder of an airplane crash, but because he knows 2 minutes in the future, he can he's on the ground and can survive the crash or something like that?
No.
Or is that
You're
Knowing?
thinking of Knowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Those kind of all blend together in my head. All right.
I feel like I've seen Next, but I thought it was something else.
Are you
Isn't there
thinking
like a superhero movie where everybody has a power
Push.
where Push. That's what I was thinking.
I liked Push.
Yeah.
With Chris Evans.
Yep. And isn't Jessica Biel in that too?
Probably. No, Dakota Fanning.
Oh, okay. Easy to confuse. Kyle.
What do you got, Kyle?
All right, my number 8 is a movie I certainly have not forgotten, but I think it might be a forgotten movie. I haven't forgotten this because this is a top 100 movie for me, and that's The Orphanage. This is a gothic horror film directed by J.A. Bayana, who I thought we just watched a movie from him recently. Oh, didn't he do he did one of the Jurassic movies. He did the most recent one, Jurassic World?
No, he did the one before that.
He did Fallen Kingdom, right?
did the bad
Which he
one.
tried to make a gothic horror movie and failed.
Right.
Well, thankfully in 2007, he made a successful gothic horror movie with The Orphanage. This is a movie I believe was also produced by Guillermo del Toro. And it's about a woman who grew up in an orphanage and brings her family back to the orphanage, and then supernatural, ghostly things starts to happen within this orphanage, connected to both her past and the past of the orphanage itself. And this is a movie that I remember seeing in the theater. I remember there was a lot of buzz around it, as being a different horror movie. I don't know if you guys remember, but like I feel like horror in the 2000s was all very more Saw, Hostel based, like more of the gore, torture side of things.
There was definitely a lot of that going on.
Yeah. And the orphanage was being touted as like, oh, this is a different take on horror. Like this is more about, the mood and the tension, and less about, the violence and the gore. So I was excited because I was not enjoying 2000s gory horror. So I was excited to see this movie for a different take on it. And obviously this movie has rung a chord with me because it became a top 100 movie. It's a movie I've only seen once. I own it. I'm almost scared to watch again because I remember it scared the crap out of me. But it's also a really well made and a really good horror film I think people should check out.
You've only seen it once.
I've only seen it once. And it's rare for a oneer to be on my, not a oneer, a one-time watch to be on my top 100. But it's a movie that, The Orphanage is the movie that got me back into horror. I thought I was done with horror just because of the direction I was going in. And this movie said, oh, maybe there's more to the horror genre than limbs and gore.
Still haven't seen it, but it's on my list. Someday. My number 8 is a movie titled Breach, which stars Chris Cooper and Ryan Phillippe. Phillippe? How do you say it?
Yeah,
Felipe?
It's not Felipe, no.
Ryan Phillippe, Laura Linney, and other people. And it's based on a true story of an FBI agent who is suspected of being a spy for Russia. And so they enlist this other FBI agency. So Chris Cooper, rather, plays the FBI agency suspected of being a spy. He's like been with the FBI for decades. So they get like a new recruit to pair him up with. And they're like, okay, you're going to hang out with this old FBI guy. He's supposedly going to teach you the ropes. But what we want you to do is help us figure out if he's a spy, type of thing. And so the young guy played by Ryan Phillippe. And it's great. It's a nice, tight little, political thriller in ways, spy movie. It's if you like 90s actors like Ryan Phillippe, it's definitely, I guess is he a 90s? Yeah, he started in the 90s, right? By the late 2000s, I think he was losing most of his steam.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
From my memory. And this one kind of flew under the radar at the time, and people don't really talk about it. But if you like movies like The Informant, or what's the one with George Clooney that's like roughly about
The Insider?
Michael
was that
Clayton?
with George Clooney? Michael Clayton, who wasn't an FBI guy, but he was, it's one of those types of movies. And I think it's good, and nobody talks about it, and that's a shame. My number 8. Breach.
Nice. My number 7 is Good Luck Chuck. Starring Dane Cook and Jessica Alba.
Another Jessica Alba. How many of these movies have Jessica Alba in them, Zach?
8 of my 10 have Jessica Alba in them.
You guys remember how big Dane Cook was in 2007?
Big enough to actually be in movies.
Yeah.
Right. Like big enough as a stand-up that he could just lead a movie.
To lead a movie,
Right.
yeah.
I didn't like Good Luck Chuck. I gave it 2 stars. But I think that it counts as a forgotten film of 2007. Because Dane Cook was, he was like the biggest thing stand-up wise. And then there's this huge backlash against him, right? Anyways, he was like briefly a thing in movies as well. And this was the premise of this film is anyone who's like in a relationship with him, the next relationship, they'll get married. And so he's trying to, I guess, break that curse with Jessica Alba. And I don't know. I don't remember too many good things about it. But if you like Dane Cook, I guess. I think. Did he write it? I wonder.
Dane Cook?
It sounds like a Fairley Brothers premise.
He did not.
Okay.
Josh Stolberg wrote it.
I recognize that name from somewhere.
Do you guys know Jessica Alba's net worth?
Off the top of my head, no.
You know, I was just reading about this the other day, and I wish I committed to memory.
Are we gonna guess? You want us to guess?
Yeah.
I would say you wouldn't be asking if it wasn't high. So I'm gonna guess $42 million.
James, 42 is the number I had also. So
Well,
I'm gonna go 42.1 million.
okay. Zach.
390 million.
Holy!
Wow.
Not off of just movies alone. What's the?
No,
what's
Does she have
deal?
marketing or?
As a businesswoman, she started the Honest Company.
Oh, she started Honest?
Yeah.
Like Honest, like the juice boxes, amongst other things?
The Honest Company, no, they do like baby and beauty products.
Like juice boxes. They don't do food.
No, like soaps and detergents
okay.
and diapers, stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
explains why she's not really in many movies anymore. It's because
Totally.
she
Yeah.
does not care.
Yeah.
anymore
Make a
about-
lot more money selling baby products.
Yeah. I've seen interviews with her, like, you know, in the past like few years, and she is just full on businesswoman.
Good
Sure.
for her.
That's great.
Zach, I really like that your list is so far movies you seem to not really care for. It's like so often we talk about movies we love, and the fact that you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I saw this. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I don't remember very well.
Well, judging by the obscure ones, 2007 wasn't a great year for movies.
No. No.
Says you. Mine
Well,
are
I have
classics.
to look at the positive ones, but I liked P2.
Not enough to put in your list, though.
Apparently not.
All right, my number 7 is a movie from 2007 called Shoot 'Em Up. And that's with an apostrophe, EM, Shoot 'Em Up. This starring Clive Owen, Monica Bellucci, and Paul Giamatti. In this movie, Clive Owen plays some sort of gunman, hitman, or something. He ends up with having to take care of a baby. I believe it's Monica Bellucci's baby. And he's protecting that baby from Paul Giamatti, who may want to kill the baby. I'm not quite sure. Definitely wants to get his hand on the baby. And this is, I would say, a goofy action movie. It's maybe trying to satirize serious action movies. So there's a lot of funny setups, I would say. Like for the part that I remember the most is at one point they're having, like, this movie's just one long gun battle where Clive Owen and Paul Giamatti and their henchmen are duking it out, shooting at each other, and they're just moving from like location to location to location while there's babies in tow. And at one point they're having a gun battle on a playground, and the baby is on a merry-go-round in the middle of the playground, and they're taking pot shots at the merry-go-round to spin the baby around to like get it out of each other's grasp or something like that. It was very silly. This movie had, again, questionable CGI. 2007, still haven't quite figured out what we're going to do with computer graphics yet. But I remember it being a fun movie to rent and to put on for an evening.
I've seen that movie. Don't remember a frame of it.
You don't remember the baby on the merry-go-round?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But Monica Bellucci, also in Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Oh.
She was great in it.
I think there's another moment where Clive Owen was hiding behind a filing cabinet, and
Mhm.
like henchmen kept coming one by one, and he would shoot them through the filing cabinet so the door would hit them. And then like the next one would come up, look at this dead body on the floor, wonder what's going on, get hit by the filing cabinet. Then the next one come up, and it went on like 6 or 7 guys to the point of
Oh my God.
ridiculousness.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of the point of the whole movie, right? It was just like ridiculous gunfights, basically.
Right? Yeah.
My number 7 is Rec. REC, meaning record, like when you hit the record button on a camera. This is a found footage movie that's really good and gets overshadowed by Paranormal Activity, which came out the same year. And Paranormal Activity is a no-budget found footage movie that never shows you the monster, whereas Wreck is a zombie movie, essentially, that's stuck inside one apartment building that has maybe 4 or 5 stories to it. The premise is you've got this news reporter who is shadowing a group of firefighters. And so the beginning of the movie starts. For the first 10 minutes or so, you're at the fire station and you're meeting all the guys, all the characters, stuff like that. And then they get called to this apartment building where people are getting sick. And so they all in the moment footage, you literally take the ride to the apartment and you walk in the front door of the apartment, and then you experience the movie as the firefighters are going through the apartment complex trying to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, people are turning into zombies and are attacking the firemen, and the news reporter is like, "Oh, I thought I was just going to sit around a fire station and watch these guys, play cards all night and eat food. This is the craziest thing she's ever seen. Her cameraman's there, et cetera, et cetera." And then over the course of it, the government finds out what's happening and quarantines the building so that they can't leave. And so then they have to survive in this building, basically. And it's really, really scary and really effective. Probably because this movie gives you a lot of setup. And then once you get into the building, it just keeps ratcheting up how much you know about what's going, or how much the characters know about what's going on, and how extreme the zombie action is. It's the perfect amount of ramping things up over time. It's really good. It inspired 4 not as good sequels and an American remake that bombed. But if you're into horror movies or found footage movies specifically, you've probably already seen Wreck if you're into that. But if you haven't, check it out.
Is that remake Quarantine with Dexter's sister?
Yes.
Okay.
It was fine, but it's not the Spanish language original from 2007 for sure.
All right. My number 6 from 2007, directed by Peter Berg, is The Kingdom. This is absolutely a forgotten film. I think because it has such a forgettable title, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it stars Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Garner, Chris Cooper, and Jason Bateman. And it's a Middle East terrorist kind of movie. So there's some sort of elite.
So it's like an Iraq
squad.
war movie, right? I think.
I don't remember which country it's in. It's just somewhere in the Middle East where there's a suicide bomber and they go to investigate, I guess. And it's shot, in kind of that shaky cam, hyper serious kind of war film style, And I don't know. I don't remember anything about it, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5. I liked it. I mean, it's a good formula, I guess. And Jamie Foxx, I'm not a huge Jamie Foxx fan. I don't subscribe to the newsletter, but he is the total package, I think. He's
You're not a fan, but he's a total package.
No. I'm not a fan. I'm just saying, I don't think about Jamie Foxx very often,
Okay.
But when I do, I think he's got it all. He can act. He's got a music career. He's he does really good impressions. Have you ever guys heard Jamie Foxx do impressions?
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at impressions for some reason. He's funny. Have you seen him on roasts and stuff?
Yeah.
He's got great comedic timing. He's just one of those guys that just can do everything that he touches. I mean, I don't care. I'm not a big Jamie Foxx fan, but he's pretty awesome.
You respect his talents.
Yeah. It's not a draw from Jamie Foxx in this, have to check it out. But I think he elevates anything he's in.
Sounds like he's a jack of all trades, master of none.
I think he's good at what he does.
Not good enough for you to want to seek it out.
Yeah.
Like a master would inspire you to do.
A master.
Zach likes
No,
people
just-
who are great at one thing, not good at a bunch of things.
That's not true. That's not true. I'm impressed by Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, we
I
don't
think
like
he
him.
was in one movie that I didn't like, and so that kept me from being like, well, I got to see the latest Ray 2. You know,
Was Ray
the one
movie you didn't
he's
like?
most critically acclaimed for you didn't like.
You're right. Yeah.
Interesting.
I would love a sequel biopic of a dead person. Ray 2, The Heaven Years.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
All right, my number 6 is a movie I forgot I had seen until I started this list, but then it came back to me. This is Charlie Wilson's War. This movie has a stacked cast. I was reading through this and I was kind of blown away. Tom Hanks, he stars in this movie. He plays Charlie Wilson, a real-life Texas congressman from the 80s. Amy Adams, Julia Roberts, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Emily Blunt, John Slattery, other names you would probably recognize.
You could have left off John Slattery.
I recognize that name. Oh, Ned
From
Beatty.
Mad Men?
Ned
I
Beatty.
recognize that name.
You guys know Ned Beatty, right?
Who's Ned Beatty?
Ned
Warren
Beatty-
Beatty's brother?
No, they may be related, yes. No, Ned Beatty's in Deliverance. He's in Network. If you like movies from the 70s, you know Ned Beatty.
I like movies from the 70s. I didn't know him.
Okay. Anyway,
I looked him up. I know him.
you know who he is, right? And this movie is directed by Mike Nichols, who has directed movies you may have heard of, like The Birdcage or Who's Afraid of Virginia
That-
Woolf
That's the Mike Nichols movie you think of.
or The Graduate. I was getting
Yeah.
there. I was burying the lead, okay? I was getting there. I like The Birdcage, though. So,
Sure, yeah.
anyway.
Famously made The Birdcage.
I think The Birdcage is a not forgotten movie of 1996.
You're right.
1996, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this movie has a lot of pedigree going on, both with the cast, both with the director. Movie I wish maybe I had remembered more or didn't leave as much of an impression, but either way, there's a lot going for it. So Tom Hanks plays this Texas congressman in the 1980s. He's a bit of a party boy, which is interesting to see older Tom Hanks playing a character with actual like sexuality and partying to him. I think that's something that is not included in a lot of Tom Hanks characters anymore. And that was an interesting role for him to take, a little different way to see him portrayed in the movie. And he decides to start taking his job seriously, so he gets involved with the Afghani rebels who are fighting the Soviets and trying to figure out how he can help them and add to that cause. Because 1980, obviously got to fight the Soviets anywhere we can. So it's an interesting movie where you kind of see the seeds of then what became the Afghan conflicts, during our time, sort of planted, and getting a little bit of that backstory about what was our involvement in Afghanistan in the 80s, and then how did helping those rebels then turn into the Taliban, then turn into this whole war that we were involved in at the time. So it's definitely a good movie. Is a historical document, but also interesting to kind of get some more background into where we are today.
What was the name of that?
Charlie Wilson's War.
Oh. Maybe I haven't seen that. I'm surprised. Since it's a Tom Hanks movie. I see everything that guy's in.
Obviously, you haven't seen this one.
He's a master of all trades.
But
This is the Tom Hanks donut hole right here. Okay, it's a real 2007 is a problem for people.
no, but hold on. Tom Hanks is no Jamie Foxx.
What? How dare you?
No, absolutely. He's no Jamie Foxx.
Why do you
Does
say
Tom
that?
Hanks, can Tom Hanks sing?
I'm sure he
Yeah.
can sing. I don't know if
He
can
doesn't
sing
release
well.
music, but he can
Okay.
sing.
Can he sing at a professional level? We have no idea.
Did he sing in the Elvis movie?
Can he rap?
Oh, he
We
can
have no
defi-
idea.
He can definitely
We
rap.
have
His
no
son can.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I
Is
asked.
that Chet?
Yeah.
Chet the
Does he
rapper?
do incredible impressions
Yes.
Oh yeah,
of who?
Woody from Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an impression. That's
He
his
does a
own
great
voice.
impression of Woody.
He can
I'm just saying he's no Jamie Foxx.
I
He's
mean-
someone that does one thing really well, and
He-
that's act and collect typewriters.
That's two things.
That's one thing. Those are very similar endeavors.
Acting and typewriter collecting are the two. One of the signs of a great actor is they don't have typewriters in their home.
Yeah. Speaking of Mike Nichols, my number 6 is a movie directed by his brother, Jeff Nichols. The movie is Shotgun Stories. By the way, I made that up. I don't know if they're related. Shotgun Stories is a movie that is directed by the same guy who directed Mud, which is a movie that I love, that I probably talk about too much. I think I've seen it 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow. Have you?
Hasn't been out it's been out for maybe 10 years. So that's a lot in 10 years compared to most movies that come and go in my brain. I've seen every Jeff Nichols movie, which sounds impressive, but I think he has 5 or 6. So it's not a lot, but I made it a task to track them down and see them all. This was maybe his 2nd or 3rd. A lot of them star Michael Shannon. He also directed Midnight Special, which is a movie that most people probably came to Jeff Nichols on. But Take Shelter is probably his best. Anyway, Shotgun Stories is about like these people on a farm, these 2 brothers and an uncle, I think, played by Michael Shannon. I don't remember what the relations are, but it's all these like stories of trauma from living on a farm, and there's always like a little bit of a mystical element to a lot of Jeff Nichols stories. Sometimes it's literal, sometimes it's just figurative, and the acting is great. It's awesome. And if you're not a Jeff Nichols fan, then it just means you haven't seen his movies. Go track him down.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a Jeff Nichols fan.
Cool.
My number 5 is P2, previously mentioned.
Oh, you like that movie.
I
Is that
did
another
like
one
P2.
I forced you to watch? I can't imagine you watched that one on your own.
Yeah, that's one you had me watch.
Okay.
I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it. I was into it. It's like a one concept thriller, right?
Mhm.
In one location. I'm down for that. I'm down for here's a scenario, let's see how it plays out.
Mhm.
I like that. And that's what this movie was. I mean, you'd think you could just leave the parking garage, but I guess not.
Well, if you remember,
I think she's locked
there's like
in.
a scene with an office chair. Do you remember that? And
yeah,
he
vaguely.
keeps her in the garage,
right.
not by tying her to an office chair, but by leveraging something.
Yeah. Great.
Is it her
There's
favorite
reasons.
office chair? Is that why?
It's her favorite office.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He threatens to give it away.
I'm gonna throw it off the top deck if you don't leave this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. My number 5 is a movie that I actually watched this year, back in February. Part of my hunt to complete Ethan Hawke movies. And it's a movie I end up liking, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. This movie starring Ethan Hawke and Philip Seymour Hoffman, as well as Marissa Tomei. The director, another famous guy, Sidney Lumet. If you don't know that name, you may have heard of Serpico. You may have heard of the previously mentioned Network, possibly Dog Day Afternoon, or maybe 12 Angry Men. All
Never heard of
movies
any of
he's
those.
known for. 2007, this is an interesting year for directing luminaries to crank one more out before they retire. So anyway, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Ethan Hawke and Philip Seymour Hoffman play brothers. They plan a jewelry store heist together. As you could expect, things go wrong, and they have to deal with the consequences and fallout of this heist. This movie is told out of order a bit. So you see different events of the day. I believe the whole thing takes place over only a couple days. And you see different events leading up to the heist itself, and the aftermath from different characters' perspectives. It's not giving you like did they see something differently, but when you see the event through a different character's perspective, you get different information or new information about what happened, and you slowly kind of piece together the whole story behind it. It's I remember being real, or not, I saw it recently. It was really good. Really liked it. A great Philip Seymour Hoffman performance. And also he and Ethan Hawke playing these brothers in their own adversarial relationship was very interesting. Chiwetel Ejiofor. That was unwarranted.
Maybe. Gotta get it in though.
I'm sure I'll mess up a name later anyway. You jumped the gun on that one.
That's another movie I've seen. I believe I ranked it highly, and also even based on your description, can't remember anything about it. But I need to see it just for Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? He's like the lead in it, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 5 is a movie that I was trying to debate whether this was actually forgotten or not. And I might need you guys to weigh in, because I feel like this is one of those that maybe isn't forgotten on this podcast, but I think maybe it's forgotten in general, like in polite society. It's a movie called Into the Wild.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, I did not consider this as forgotten, but
Okay.
It's on the edge. I can see you going for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was particularly popular at the time, but I do think it's a movie that has a legacy of sorts, and like people have watched it over the last 15 years, and it hasn't completely fallen into the ether. But it's directed by Sean Penn. It's based on a book, based on a real life guy. The lead is played by Emil Hirsch. The rest of the cast is kind of crazy. You're talking William Hurt, Jenna Malone, Catherine Keener, Vince Vaughn, Zach Galifianakis, Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart.
Who I just learned was the highest paid actress in 2012. Thank you, Wikipedia. And it's about a guy who is rich. He's young, and he decides that instead of living the richy rich lifestyle, he's just gonna backpack through the wild in Alaska. Is it Alaska? Canada? I don't remember.
All the above. He does California, Mexico. He goes up to Canada, Alaska. Yeah.
Right. Then he goes deep into a place and stuff happens. And it's very dramatic and well acted and well shot and beautiful, because it's all like travel loggy and stuff. And it's kind of like pre-lens flare in the camera constantly type stuff. It's like still kind of traditionally made beautiful instead of like Power of the Dog beautiful. And there's a charm to that for sure. My number 5.
Nice. You remember the soundtrack to that movie?
Yeah, I rock it every week.
No, so Eddie Vedder did the entire soundtrack.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's all him, and it's like him and acoustic guitars, him and mandolins, him and other vocalists. It's not Pearl Jam style whatsoever. It's just him going.
Kyle,
quiet.
I know. I told you I listen to it every week.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No.
See, this is the chaos we're talking about right here. I can't read this guy whatsoever. Is he joking? Is he being dry because it's just James?
Read him straight. He said he listens to it every week. Accept it. Don't try to add your chaos to it, Kyle. Stick to the structure.
I love the song Guaranteed from the soundtrack. It's awesome. Yeah. I listen to that one every day.
My number 4 is a movie I liked. I gave 3.5 stars. It's called Son of Rambo. And this one was kind of well received at the time as like an indie darling, I would say. But no one has rewatched Son of Rambo in the last, 10 years. It's too bad because it's good. For a movie that not a single person has watched in the last 10 years.
No one has watched this movie in the last decade.
Yeah.
Not at all. No one in this room, in this podcast, has watched this movie recently whatsoever.
Exactly. No one of note.
No one of note.
So this is a movie about a kid. Maybe Kyle, you could refresh my memory about what goes on with this.
I haven't seen this movie in at least a decade, if ever at all. So,
this movie is about a kid who retreats into his fantasy world of making films with his friends about Rambo, and it's just really charming and great. And it's one of those kind of films. It's like following kids living their best creative lives, to escape from the world, and I like those movies. So, Son of Rambo, number 4.
Well, my number 4 from 2007 is Walk Hard: The Dewey Cox Story.
Not forgotten.
I thought about this one. I decided to put it on here because it was a movie that I remember hearing about, actively avoided when it came out, mostly because of the title. And then, per the prodding of you two, finally watched it a couple years ago and liked it.
Not me. I don't love this movie, so it wasn't me.
So maybe it was Zach then. Maybe Zach
Maybe it was
prodded me.
Zach.
I love this movie.
Yeah. Just because you love it doesn't mean that it's not forgotten.
True.
Yeah.
I didn't say it's not forgotten because I love it.
So this stars John C. Reilly, and it is a parody of the music biopics that were coming out around this time, mostly Ray and Walk the Line. And it's funny. Like there's a lot of jokes, a lot of satire of those movies. Some of the writing's a little clunky, a little in your face, but most of the jokes land. And it's not as sophomoric as the title would make you think it is.
It's great.
I haven't seen that one in probably the first time I watched it.
Back in 2007?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to rewatch something, I'm going to rewatch like Step Brothers or what's the other one? The Ballad of Ricky Bobby or
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, the Anchorman movies.
Anchorman.
Feels like it's in that world.
Yeah.
And for some reason that one just never bubbles to the top for me.
Let it bubble.
I should let it bubble.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe. My number 4 is a documentary from 2007 titled Bra Boys, BRA Boys, which is an Australian set documentary about these 3 brothers who are surfers, and they're kind of like if like the mob in New York or Chicago were like surfers. Like they basically rule the beachside town that they exist in, and they're involved in crime, and they're also really great at surfing, and they were like good enough to be pro surfers, and yet they're also self-destructive, and they just became legendary because they literally could have been, if not one, all 3 of them could have been the best surfers in the world, and they just could not keep it together. And the documentary is great, and it has tons of like well-known surfers from the time. If you don't really care about surfing, there's still a lot here for you. It's basically a sports story. So if you're into like 30 for 30 documentaries and stuff like that, this is like a really well-produced one of those. Like top tier 30 for 30. That's where Bra Boys slots in. And I enjoy it. I've seen it twice. Also a rarity for documentaries for me, and it's my number 4.
Fun. My number 3, is it forgotten? I don't know. I don't know if it was ever remembered, but it's called Mongol: The Rise of Genghis Khan.
I remember this movie.
Yeah. I don't know if at the time it got the respect it deserved, and then no one's like revisiting it often, but it's so great.
Was this a movie that was supposed to be part 1 of a 2-parter, and they never made the second part?
I think that's probably right.
Okay.
I mean, they only cover part of his lifetime.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. So it's the story of Genghis Khan, from his childhood to like his early career. And I was so excited to see this because I was just coming off of reading a book about Genghis Khan, and the book was amazing. And then I watched this, and then this movie was like super accurate to like the real story. Like the movie seemed so dramatic and like cinematic, but that's just because this guy's life was ridiculous. And so much of it was like accurate to like our best guess from history or whatever. But it was just shot so beautifully. The battle scenes are amazing in this film. It's just a gorgeous film to watch, and you get like a good sense of like why this Genghis Khan guy was so special, or just unique. So, yeah, I loved Mongol a lot.
Is there some stat where Genghis Khan had so many children that, like, is it every human on Earth can draw themselves back to Genghis Khan through family, or every person in China or something? There's some stat along those lines.
I've heard 1 in 200 men are direct descendants of Genghis Khan.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure it's a higher percentage in China.
Yeah.
But I did recently read a book that said you could pretty reliably claim that everyone alive today is descended from Charlemagne.
The king?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just from just the number of grandparents and people alive and all that kind of stuff.
Huh. I always felt like I had royal blood in me, so that makes sense. All right, my number 3 is the previously mentioned Son of Rambo, which I saw a couple weeks ago for the first time. Mostly because I believe, James, you recommended this to me a while ago, and when we ever do these lists, I see what movies on my watch list are from the year we're doing that maybe would fit this criteria. And I liked this movie. So Zach, you pretty much got it right. It stars Bill Milner is the star, but Will Poulter is the name that probably people recognize, who's been in movies like Midsommar, and he was on Black Mirror, and he's probably the name that rose from this movie. So those two actors play their kids. Their kids in the, I think it's like the late 70s or early 80s in England, and they have this obsession with the movie Rambo. They have a VHS copy of it, and they decide to make their own sequel to Rambo called Son of Rambo, and do their own cute DIY kid ways of making it. And it's definitely a fun movie in that sense. It's also a coming of age movie because the kids are very different. One's sort of this bully from a rich family who can do whatever he wants, and one is from a very religious conservative family who has to sneak out to make this movie. So you see this fun relationship grow between them two, and it's a charming movie. If you want to see great kid actors, and if you like movies where people are doing DIY movie making, it's definitely worth checking out. Also directed by Garth Jennings, who apparently I'm a completionist of now. He's also did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the 2 Sing movies.
So you've seen all of his movies?
Yeah, I've seen his entire filmography.
You Jeff Nicholed him.
I did. Bingo on Garth Jennings.
Nice. My number 3 is a comedy titled Rocket Science. This movie's great. First of all, it's about a guy on the debate team, so I'm gonna love it.
Oh,
right?
You sold me already.
Yep. It's directed by the same director of the documentary Spellbound, which is the spelling bee documentary that everybody went nuts for in the mid 2000s, I would say. So a couple years later, he directs a narrative film about a guy who is on his high school debate team. He stutters. He falls in love with another girl on the debate team. And it's all very coming of agey type stuff. And it was charming and great. And I enjoyed it. And the love interest is Anna Kendrick. And if you haven't seen it, you're wrong.
I haven't heard of this.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's charming.
I have not either.
I guess you like debate. Anna Kendrick must have been like 7 when this came out.
Yes, Anna
This
Kendrick,
was very
famously
early
born
in
the year
her
2000.
career. Yep, it was early in her career. It was pre-Pitch Perfect type stuff.
All right.
When did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World come out? Was that after this?
After.
Okay.
How twee is this film? It looks twee.
I mean, it's no Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist or something like that. It's somewhere between Election and that.
Okay.
Oh, are we ragging on Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist and its tweeness?
I don't mind
No.
twee,
Okay.
but that movie
Yeah.
is very twee.
All right. Okay.
I don't mind twee either. I'm just curious how twee this is. It looks very twee.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but
It's not a tumor.
wrong button.
It's been a while. Maybe you do have a tuber.
But yeah, my memory of it is not too bad.
Cool. My number 2 is a documentary, guys. It's a documentary called In the Shadow of the Moon. And this is a NASA documentary about going to the moon. And I liked it quite a bit. I gave it a very high rating on Letterboxd. And I do not remember the specifics of this documentary. I imagine it shows all the Apollo missions to the moon. I'm counting it as forgotten because I don't know what makes it distinctive from all the other documentaries about going to the moon that there have been before and since. But obviously this was a good one. So if you want to know about the moon and you don't have access to any of the number of great documentaries
that have come out
since,
Like
yeah,
Apollo
absolutely.
11 maybe, or
Yeah, that was fantastic. I think this is a solid recommend for In the Shadow of the Moon. Also very good.
if you want to see a moon doc but don't want to try that hard.
Yeah, if you want to see a moon doc, but you don't want to make it Apollo 11, which is absolutely amazing and probably the best version of this, then watch In the Shadow of the Moon.
Well, so Apollo 11 is just about Apollo 11, right?
That's true.
Which is the
In the Shadow of the
yeah.
In the Shadow of the Moon is about the push to get to the moon. It's about the Apollo program.
Oh.
Okay, so it's a good compliment to that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's directed by David Singleton. Do you know who that is?
It's a familiar name.
Boys in the Hood?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Sington, not Singleton.
Oh yeah, Singleton. No, you're thinking John
Sington.
Singleton, right?
David Sington is not
Yeah.
the guy who directed Boys in the Hood, but David Singleton is.
Who passed away recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've renamed him in honor of him. Yeah.
Why doesn't Zach get a Twiddle Elijah 4 for that one? Twiddle Elijah 4. Thank you. He gave me to read it.
You
You
got
got
twiddled.
I love that now Kyle is calling for us to use his own voice mispronouncing things.
Hey, if I'm gonna get called out when I mess up, it's only fair. All right, my number 2 is also documentary. I was really hoping we get a bingo here, Zach, but I have not seen Shadow of the Moon. I have seen,
Check it out.
as well as 18,000 other people on IMDb, Encounters at the End of the World. This is a Werner Herzog documentary, and it is a documentary about Antarctica and I believe it's called the McMurdo Station, which is the base that is in Antarctica, and about what would draw people to come to Antarctica. So it's not a movie about penguins and life and ice. It's a movie about desolation and emptiness, and why do people want to come to a place that is so inhospitable? Because it's Werner Herzog. He's not gonna make a fluffy, lighthearted documentary. It's very good though. The cinematography is amazing. You get a lot of even though it's not about nature, you get a lot of amazing scenes of the nature. They do some underwater shots under the ice, which is beautiful. And I think it's not one of his most talked about documentaries, but it's definitely worth checking out if you like Werner Herzog.
Have not seen that one. I'll have to put it on over lunch someday.
Oh, yeah, you definitely. I mean, because half of it is just listening to Werner Herzog talk as he's, talks about whatever's going on. I think this is the movie he made after Grizzly Man, so people are expecting another, like, blow me away documentary.
Mhm.
And it's Werner Herzog. He made the movie he wanted to make.
Yeah, Grizzly Man was like falling into the perfect footage, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though they didn't show the footage. My number 2, and I'll say these final 2 on my list anyway are like strong recommends for sure. My number 2 has already been mentioned. It's Mongol, which Zach had on his list. Yeah, strongly recommend this. I think I watched it because Zach talked about it on something or other. I don't remember what else it came up on, but it's a great movie. While he was talking, I was reminded that it was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film the year it was released. It did pretty well in general, but evidently not well enough to really finance the next version. I also read it's a trilogy. They talked about making the second one in 2013, and it came up again in 2019. So supposedly the director and producers, they're just continuing to try to get it financed. And maybe someday we will get the second and third parts to that story. But yeah, it's really well made as like a historical epic biopic-ish type of thing. Yeah, super good. I liked it. My number 2.
Nice. Glad it's on your list. My number 1, the most forgotten film of 2017 that's worth your time and attention, is a documentary from Brazil called Manda Bala, which means send a bullet. And I like this documentary quite a bit. It is about crime in Brazil, and it's stories of corruption and kidnapping, and basically how it seemed like it was a rough place to live. Maybe the thing I remember most is this guy that like had been kidnapped at one point, and so he like was buying a bulletproof car, and he's like, "You're crazy if you don't drive a bulletproof car in Brazil." And I was like, "That's
Wow.
quite a statement." But yeah, and it just like it, you talk to kidnappers and kidnapping victims and kidnapping policemen, and it was a fascinating documentary, I thought. So it's called Mandabala, which means send a bullet, from 2007.
I love that documentary as well. And it also should be noted as like one of the best shot documentaries I think I've ever seen. Like it's one of the first documentaries I saw where I was like, obviously the story is really good, but they took their time to get establishing shots that were just amazing looking. Like, isn't there like a couple scenes like on a frog farm or something? And there's like frogs jumping through the air while somebody's describing something horrific. It's really, really well
There
made.
was, yeah, like a whole big ocean of frogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this
There's,
moment.
There's crane shots in
Oh.
Send a Bullet. And it's a documentary. Go ahead, Kyle.
No. I mean, this sounds interesting. Like, I definitely want to check out this documentary because it relates to a movie that I left off of my list that I wasn't sure was forgotten or not. But I'm gonna throw in really quick. It's called Elite Squad, which is a fictional movie, but about the police forces that have to patrol the favelas in Rio de Janeiro.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
What's your number 1, Kyle?
My number 1 is not Elite Squad, but a movie people should see. My number 1 is a movie that only 14,000 people on IMDb have seen. I am one of them, and this is Aqua Teen Hunger Force : the word, not the symbol. Movie film for theaters.
You're a fan.
I'm not, but I like this movie.
So you hate the series but loved the movie?
I never watched the series. I never was huge into Adult Swim. Like Metalocalypse was the only real show I would watch on Adult Swim. Mm-hmm. I was aware of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I've seen a couple of them. And the movie came out, and a friend of mine really wanted to see it. He's like, we have to go see this movie. I'm like, sure, let's go see it. Why not? It's 2007. I'm like 24 years old. I got nothing else going on. I'll go see Aqua Teen Hunger Force in the theater. And a couple things I remember about this movie. One, it's one of the few times I was in a public space and I felt like the majority of people around me were high. Like I felt in the minority not being high in that moment because I walked in that
Sure.
theater. I'm like, oh, this is that kind of crowd. Okay. It was like a Friday night, 7, 8 o'clock. Most people there were around my age. So that definitely was part of the experience. And then it's a movie where I laughed. It was funny, but by far the funniest part of the movie for me happened in the first couple minutes, and it's even before the movie officially started. The movie starts with a kind of a parody of one of those songs where like all the snacks are singing about like let's go to the movie snack board and buy popcorn and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of funny and cheesy in its own way. It's got its own jokes to it. But as they're singing it, they get ambushed by mutant snacks who then start singing their own version of that song about as a heavy metal song called Linoleum Knife, which is performed by Mastodon. So I'm in this theater. It starts off with this, cheesy hot dog singing about the snack line. And all of a sudden Mastodon breaks out and sings like a 3-minute heavy metal song about, don't record the movie and don't do drugs here and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just laughing my butt off, hoping the rest of the movie will be as funny as these 3 minutes. It was not, but it was worth it just for that moment. And this is also like pre-YouTube. So then trying to rewatch that moment was impossible. Now you can go on YouTube and just Google like Mastodon linoleum knife and you can find it right away. But at the time, I had to keep that memory until someone tried to rip it from the DVD or something.
Nice. When I brought that fun fact up in the 2007 recap, I did not expect that name to come up again. Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yep, it came back
That's
up.
for sure. Never seen the show, never seen the movie.
Oh, you've never seen it?
Nope.
Have you, Zach?
Oh yeah.
The movie?
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
Okay.
I have a friend who was really into them, and it was just kind of playing while we were chatting.
I feel like that's how most people saw the movie. A friend was into it. So, James, I'll send you the opening song later, and you can just watch that.
Okay.
That's all you
I'm
need.
a fan of Mastodon, so I'm into it.
Oh yeah, that's all you need to see, really.
Nice. My number one, most favoritist forgotten film of 2007 is Time Crimes. Just so good.
Not forgotten.
What?
Forgotten?
Not forgotten.
I don't
What do you
think this
mean
is
not
forgotten.
Who talks about time crimes?
Lists?
Anyone who's into time movies.
Time movies?
Yeah.
Like time travel movies, you mean?
Yeah, sure. Like time loop movies.
Time loop, yeah. I was going to say, this is not a time travel movie. That's for
It
sure.
is.
It's
It
a
is.
time
But
loop
yeah,
movie.
yeah, it's time travel.
This movie, I reject that this is not forgotten. I think it's forgotten.
Well, I didn't put it on my list because it's not forgotten.
Yeah,
It's
I also
certainly
did
not remembered enough.
It's on the They Shoot Zombies, Don't They top 1,000 greatest horror films list.
Top 1,000?
Yeah, it's number 993. How could
See,
you
that means
forget
it's
that?
forgotten.
No, it's on
Some
the top
random
1,000.
website made a list of 1,000 horror movies and they put it 993.
That's amazing.
Forgotten.
What?
64,000 people have seen this movie.
That's not that much.
Okay. Anyway, it's a
All
great
right.
movie though, so please do talk about it.
It's Spanish language, directed by Nacho Vigalondo. It's a time loop movie with a sweet runtime of 92 minutes. So it's easy to watch, easy to get in, get out, no fluff, no filler. And it's about a guy who is stuck in a time loop and he's trying to solve something that I'm not going to spoil. And it's really well made and everybody should go watch it. Maybe not everybody, but if you're into like sci-fi, weird sci-fi stuff and you have a fairly high tolerance for time loop movies or movies that try to mess with your perception of a sequence of events, whatever that is. What a
Sure.
weird caveat. If you have a high tolerance for movies that mess with your perception of a sequence of events, then check out Time Crimes.
Wow.
One word.
We should make that list. Top 10 movies that mess with my perception of a sequence of events.
Yeah. Time Crimes is on there.
That's a great movie. I'm
wouldn't
glad you
forget to add
included
it.
it. It's worth seeing, worth talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
No, I like it. I just didn't include it on my list because when I ranked Letterboxd 2007 for least popular movies, it was the most popular film of 2007.
But that's the Letterbox people. That's not your general audience.
That's not. I have this ranked by film popularity, and
I know,
Ratatouille is the most popular movie
I
of
know.
2007.
But he was so quick to accept it because it was plausible enough.
Because it's a movie that Letterbox weirdos would like. Me being one of them.
I will say that Letterboxd ranks for popularity. It is the movies that I have included that come after it that are more popular are Man from Earth, Before Death Knows You're Dead, Orphanage, Walk Hard. So
Those are all more popular than Time Crimes.
on Letterboxd, correct. The Mist. Yeah. The Mist is almost as popular as Transformers. So maybe The Mist should not be on this list.
No, it's because Letterbox people are weird. And they're going to like these movies that were good, even though people don't talk about them.
Yeah. Now, Into the Wild is like the 8th most popular movie on Letterboxd from 2007.
That's why I had reservations about it. I was like, this is the one on my list. That was the only one on my list that I was a little concerned about.
No one mentioned King of Kong. Is that because it's not forgotten? Is that why?
I don't think
Not
it's forgotten.
forgotten.
Okay,
Not
that's
forgotten.
totally fine. I mean, it's more forgotten than Shoot 'em Up, according to Letterboxd, but
Well,
I mean, King of Kong is like a movie that my parents know about.
yeah.
They don't know about Bra Boys. Not a chance that ever crossed their path.
How many people do you think have marked King of Kong or have rated King of Kong on IMDb?
On IMDb?
Yeah.
500,000.
No, 5,000.
5,000. It's very well known.
You would say less people have seen King of Kong than have seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force: the movie for theaters?
I don't know. He said 500,000. I said 5,000.
Okay,
I'm sure
well-
there's a clear winner. I don't know who's.
37,000. So I guess Zach's closer, but
That seems crazy to me. I bet at least 500,000 people have seen King of Kong.
Well, sure, but how many of them are on IMDb as like a member?
That's what, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Do you think more people have it marked on Letterboxd than have it marked on IMDb?
I'm trying to see if I can figure that out.
do you
Yes,
think,
I
Kyle?
do.
I think so too.
I take it back. I do not think that anymore.
No?
No.
Is there a way just to see how many people have marked a movie on Letterboxd? You have to look at each
course.
rating.
No,
No.
of course.
Yeah, you have to go to the page and then count.
Yes,
One.
so
2.
7, 11,
Oh, you're literally doing it?
13.
I'm joking. You can
15.
pull up the number very easily.
I don't even. Yeah, it's super easy. I don't remember the movie we're talking about though.
Less
King of
people
Kong.
have seen it on Letterboxd than have seen it on IMDb. Have rated it, I should say.
By how many?
I don't know.
38,000 people have watched it
On Letterboxd?
on Letterboxd.
How do you-
38,000.
How do you get there?
Go to the
Oh,
movie?
oh, it's-
directly underneath the poster. It shows how many people have watched it.
It's a
38,000.
little eyeball. Oh my gosh.
No, I see ratings and I see 20,000 people have rated it.
Look at the poster.
I'm looking at
No,
the
look
poster.
right
oh,
underneath
I
the
see.
poster.
Yeah, on the 36,000. I see what you're talking
What
about.
were you looking at?
I was looking at how many people rated it, but you can
Where?
mark a under ratings.
Not under the poster.
Hover over the 3.9 and that'll tell you how many people have rated it.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. 20,000 have rated it, but you're correct. 38,000 have marked it watched.
Right.
So about even with IMDb.
Nice. So what movies were doubled? Mongol, P2. What else?
Son of Rambo.
Son of Rambo. I feel like there's one more. No?
I think that's it.
All right.
That's pretty
so
good.
those are the ones that everybody has to watch.
Yeah.
All the rest, up to you.
I
I
want
would
to see
recommend
Mongol.
those.
I'll put Mongol on my watch list.
Oh, Mongo's great.
Thank you for listening to this episode 545 of the Cinereelists podcast. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget, find the video version on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. Support us on Patreon if you so choose. Leave us an Apple Podcast review, 5 stars only, or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. We appreciate any and all emails, and we'll probably read it on the podcast and discuss it. You could also follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok @Cinereelists, or you could follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account @YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd @Shaubin.
You can find me on Letterboxd @PeterSKB.
Next week, we will be discussing a movie that's on video on demand right now titled Vengeance, which is a comedy written, directed, and starring BJ Novak. He's a podcaster. So maybe we'll top 10 movies that contain podcasting. I can only think of one other one.
Yeah, I
Tusk.
can't think of any off the top of my head.
Tusk has podcasting in it.
Okay.
Oh, Halloween. The recent Halloween reboot.
Okay.
The main character's doing a podcast on Michael Myers.
All right. What about top 10 movies featuring an Office castmate?
I've never seen The Office. I don't know who's in it.
You don't need to see The Office to know who's in it. You probably already know a bunch of people that are in it.
Never. Steve Carroll. Never heard of him.
Yeah. Yeah. What about that?
You never watched The Office, really?
I've never seen an episode of The Office. We've had this conversation.
We have not had this. I would remember that.
Okay.
Zach, have we had this conversation?
I've
No,
had with Zach,
I have.
probably.
I
Yeah.
have with Kyle, and he loves Parks and Rec. He doesn't watch The
What?
Office to like as a point of pride.
Yeah, at this point, I've avoided it for this long, and it's 10 seasons long. I'm not going to get into it, and I'm sure it's funny, but I don't care anymore.
It's not 10 seasons long. It's 7 seasons long.
That's
You can quit at season 7.
Once you get beyond 5, it doesn't matter. Anything beyond 5 is just that's a commitment.
No, Kyle.
I'm not
Again,
going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. You can
Again, it doesn't matter how much he would enjoy it at all. It doesn't matter how much he likes Parks and Rec.
say.
Parks and Rec is one of his favorite shows of all time. He won't watch it as just a stickler point.
my
Kyle, I
understanding
release
is-
you. I know you're backed into a corner here. You're standing strong. You don't really have to. You can. I release you. You could. It's a good thing. You should watch when you get to it.
Yeah, maybe someday I'll finally.
He's lying to you.
A
He's lying
crack.
to you.
No, he wouldn't lie to me.
He has no plans to someday watch it.
Kyle, I feel bad
Why? Don't feel bad for me.
because you're
You've talked yourself out of watching
denying
a really funny
yourself
show. Yeah.
something that's really good.
There's so
For-
much
for
other
no
good
reason.
out there. That's fine.
Not as good as The Office. The Office, there's not too many half an hour comedies that I watched on a weekly basis throughout the 2000s. You know what I mean? It was pretty much the only thing that I liked so much that it was like appointment television, and it was a sitcom of all things. It was great.
The Office is my lobster.
is.
It's been so hyped for so long, and so many people have made the jokes and asked me, "You don't watch The Office? Why haven't you watched The Office?" And I'm just sick about hearing about. I'm sick of hearing about The Office, and I'm just maybe when everyone stops talking about it and the hype dies down, then I'll get into The Office.
It's not a lobster situation because it was stupid that I didn't watch The Lobster because nobody was hyping it.
And James liked The Lobster.
But not
And-
enough to be like,
Sure.
oh,
No,
you know.
and the main reason that Kyle's sick of it is because anytime it comes up, he makes it a point to say, well, I'm never watching that.
Right. Because you know what? I don't care about your opinions on The Office. So if I say I'm never going to watch it, it just shuts it down and we can move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, how
I
much
don't
do you
like
like Parks and Rec, Kyle? Where would you rank that in your
I mean,
corpus?
it's one of my favorite shows. My least favorite season of Parks and Rec is season 1, as everyone's is. And my understanding is season 1 tried too hard to be like The Office. Season 2 is where they started to find their own legs. So my understanding of the story is Parks and Rec got better when it divorced itself from the Office formula and started doing its own thing. So all I know about The Office is that the worst season of Parks and Rec was inspired by it.
I love how you're like trying to use that as an argument, as if like it trying to be its own thing was not a positive move for it.
No, it is a positive move.
But really, the Venn diagram of people that enjoy The Office and enjoy Parks and Rec are pretty tight.
Yeah, and there's this little sliver on this side, and there's Kyle and Megan in that sliver.
Yeah. No, you're just playing yourself. It's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
I feel I am like, if there are, I don't know. I don't feel bad that I haven't watched The Office. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. There's no guilt. There's no remorse. There's no, oh, someday I might get to it. Sorry, James, I lied. It's not going to happen.
See, I told you lied.
I think I don't think you should watch it. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at this point he can't like it.
Right.
He's already convinced himself that he's not interested.
Yeah.
I don't like Rainn Wilson. And I feel like he is a lot of that show.
How would you know?
Who doesn't like Rainn Wilson?
Yeah, we don't like
Or
Rainn Wilson.
maybe the clips I've seen of Dwight, because like I'll be scrolling Instagram, like Office clips come up or whatever, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. He's weird. Next.
Oh, you mean the guy that's annoying? Who you've only seen a clip of?
Yeah, he's
annoyed
annoying.
you?
I don't want- the guy's annoying.
That's awesome.
Now Craig Robinson's on that show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my. I love Craig Robinson. That's my only little pain of regret is I am denying myself Craig Robinson by not watching The Office.
Pretty good on
That's it though. Jim, Pam, don't give a crap about that.
This
Chubby
is
John
what I think you
Krasinski,
should do.
whatever. Don't care.
This is what I think you should do, Kyle.
Okay.
I'll never know if you do this.
Great.
By the way, you should continue to claim that you've never seen an episode of The Office for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
and win that, and also quietly watch The Office. Enjoy your time with it. You'll probably like it. I'm willing to bet. You'll get all the satisfaction of having seen it and the satisfaction of everybody thinking you never watched it.
Yeah, he'd be like ultimate TV hipster, like for all time. No one will ever think he's seen it, and he can still enjoy it.
What streaming service is it even on?
I don't even know.
See,
It's probably Peacock or something.
yeah. There you go. That's a barrier right there.
Well, it was on Netflix for a decade.
And I never watched it. If only I could find maybe like DVDs of it somewhere. Are those around? Do people buy those and sell them?
Yep.
Or
Probably.
Blu-rays?
I don't know if they put Office on Blu-ray.
Oh, they definitely have, because I definitely have looked at lots, and they like include Office seasons of The Office. I'm like, I'm not going to buy that because no one wants to buy season 8 of The Office unless it's 50 cents.
Season 8, 9, and 10 are definitely watchable, but the moment Steve Carell leaves, the show should have ended. I think
Yeah.
that's the general consensus.
I agree. I've rewatched like seasons 2, 3, and 4, like 7 times, and I've watched seasons 8, 9, and 10 once.
Yeah. Also, season 1 of The Office is good, but not great. Just like Parks and
Rec, yeah.
Oh, so oh, great.
And it's also really short,
and then
just like Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, it's
the
like
first
6
season of Parks and Rec is like 6 episodes. I think The Office is like 8 or 10 episodes in the first season, and then it gets to like 24 episodes from then on. All right. Next week, not talking about The Office, but BJ Novak, Office alum. We're watching his movie titled Vengeance. Do a little pre-watch if you want to know what we're talking about. And we'll see you guys there. Until next time, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.